Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of T-Dog RC, and if you are into fixed wing balsa and nitro, FPV, wings and a bit of EDF, then you're going to want to subscribe to my channel. So if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, and also if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up, and if you've got any comments or anything like that, stick them in the comments section. I always get back to people. And if you want to be notified when I bring new stuff out, then hit the bell icon. Right, I think that's all that covered. So this is just a bit of a follow-up video. It's just a quick one, really. I'll stick a little card up in the top right corner so you can see when I made in this, which is my Wing Z84. And it basically had a mid-air explosion. The motor came off and it was quite dramatic. So have a look at that video if you haven't already. So what happened basically was, I think the motor mount came unstuck from here, because it's not the best system for a motor mount. It's literally just glued on. There is also a piece that goes over the top, but unfortunately I've lost that bit in the crash. But what I have done is I have 3D printed a new motor mount, and I guess the good thing about this, because it's 3D printed, as you can see there, it's got like a texture on it, which should make it a bit better for should make it a bit better for gluing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on with some epoxy this time. Last time I used foam tack, which probably was might have been the root of my issues, because maybe foam tack's not up to the job of gluing something like this on, although it seemed pretty secure, to be honest. So it should be a fairly simple fix. As you can see, there's some bits that have been cut out there by the prop, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I mean, this really is, I built this just to literally hack around the sky just for a bit of fun, and I have to admit I was having a brilliant time before it exploded. It was really going around nice and fast, and I just opened it up, and that's when it decided to go into self-destruct mode. So I've also bought some new props, because you only got one with it. I could only get blue ones, but there we are. So yeah, first job, I think I'm going to mount the motor back on, and what I'm going to use is, just bear with me 1 second. Normally I use Loctite, but the problem is Loctite does eat into plastic, and I think that might have been the other issue, is that I put a fair bit of Loctite on all these bolts for the motor, and when I came to the motor mount, it did look like it had kind of sort of disintegrated, but I don't know whether that was just on the forces at play when it all went wrong, or whether it was because the Loctite had eaten into the plastic on the motor mount. But what I decided to do on this anyway is try using some of this shoe goop stuff, or E6000 as it's called here, but it's basically like a sort of, it's almost a bit like silicone sealer when it goes off. It's quite good stuff. I use it often for stopping screws and things vibrating, a bit like how you would use Loctite, I guess, but this is just a bit easier to use, and as far as I'm aware it won't do anything to the plastic. So we're going to use a bit of that on these bolts to get the motor mounted. And then I will mix some epoxy up and stick it on. So give me 2 seconds and we'll get this motor mounted up. Okay guys, so we've got the motor mounted on there, and there's quite a lot of downfrost on this, as you can see. But this is apparently, I can't quite remember how it was on the one that came in the box, but looks like there's a fair chunk of downfrost on that, but you do need it on wings because they do tend to climb a lot. And the other thing I managed to do with this is get the motor cable through the mount, which I couldn't do on the other one because the holes weren't big enough, which is just makes it a lot neater now because the cables just exit out the back there. So next job is just need to mix up a bit of epoxy this time. So we'll just get that mixed up. There, got some of the Zap 5-minute stuff. And we'll get this glued in place. Gonna use a decent amount, I think. It's nice and warm today, so the epoxy comes out nice and easy, but of course that will mean it'll go off quick as well. So we're going to have to work fairly fast. Okay. So let's get the epoxy all over the bottom of this. Don't want it to go too far around the sides, obviously. Let's see. Could probably go a little bit more actually around here. That's looking good. And then we'll get it positioned back in. There's like a little notch that goes into the foam. So that's looking pretty good. And then I think what I'll probably do is just hold that in place while it's drying. And then I'll just get some epoxy down the sides here as well. So there's plenty on there. Probably should have done this in the first place, but there we are. Okay, that's got that sorted, so I'm just going to hold this in place for a few minutes while this epoxy goes off. I won't film it because I don't think you're that interested in watching glue dry. Hopefully my videos are a little bit more exciting than that. So I'll cut back when this is done. Okay guys, that's on, and what I've done might be a bit of a bodge job maybe, but I've cut 2 slots in the side of the sort of motor mount area there, and I've just run a cable tie through there. Rather cool, I've managed to find a green one so it matches the plane, which is good. But it just gives it that bit of stability at the top, because obviously it's not got the foam piece that normally goes over, because that will smash to pieces. And I think that should be enough to sort of hold it in place along with the epoxy there. But of course there's only one way to find out. The other thing is as well, I did actually end up finding that I had got a spare prop for this, so I've put the original one on for now, because I thought it's probably better to use the original than the ones I've bought, because I think they were ever so slightly a different size. So I'm just going to hook the battery up just to check that I've got this spinning around the right way, which of course is very dangerous when you've got it on the bench like this. So normally, you know, would recommend that you don't hook the battery up with the prop on. Also noticed that the motor, and I can't remember what it was like before, but it sounds pretty bad. So I don't know whether it's damaged the bearings or something like that when it ripped the motor off. But we'll see what happens. So definitely got throttle set to 0. Let's just hook this up. Now I always have a throttle kill, so obviously always make sure you set one of those, particularly if you are going to do something stupid like this and power it up on the bench with the prop on. But let's just arm it. That's not the one. And there we go. Yeah, that's actually going the right way. but it does sound pretty horrendous, I've got to say. But it's working. So let's disconnect the battery, let's disarm it. Disconnect the battery before we do any damage. And there we are. The Z84 lives to fight another day potentially. So going to leave that epoxy to dry now overnight. So switch the transmitter off. Yeah, so we'll leave that dry. I won't be flying it for a few days anyway, probably not for a week, I would think. So I'll stick it back on the shelf for a bit. But I will film the sort of re-maiden, because it wasn't really much of a maiden in the end. So look out for that. But in the meantime, I know that was only a quick one, but just thought I'd show you what I was doing. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed already to my channel. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you soon for the next one.